Guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a kind of little review of the concert I went to last night. Last night I went to see Gary Numan at Leeds O2 Academy. This was a kind of a niche concert in the sense that it wasn't an average Gary Numan concert where he played a wide variety of tracks, old and new. This was a celebration concert. It was 45 years of his release of the album Telekon, which came out in 1980. So this was an anniversary sort of mini tour he's doing over here in the UK to celebrate that album, as it was a highly successful album. 1979 and 1980 was a very successful year for Gary Numan. He had 3 #1 albums. We had Replicas and Pleasure Principle #1 in 79. In 1980, Telekon. Telekon had one single on there called This Wreckage. I don't think that hit the top, but he had 2 singles that were sort of associated with that album. We had I Die, You Die and We Are Glass, which weren't actually on the album. They were just single releases. Anyway, he came over to do a tour to play tracks, to do the album and associated tracks in its entirety. So the concert started off with a support band, which was Raven Numan, which is Gary Numan's daughter. I think it's his middle daughter. And she came on and did a 40-minute set, including tracks like My Reflection, which is one of her sort of own composition. All of the songs she did were her own composition. She was amazing. She was really, really cool. I was a bit dubious because I've seen them perform with Gary on stage a couple of times, you know, coming on doing tracks with them, but to see her in her own set was amazing. And there was no gimmicks. There was no Gary coming on to do a song with her. None of the other sisters came on to do songs with her. She came on with her own band. She had a 4-piece band with her. We had a keyboard player, a drummer, bass and guitar. And she was really cool. It was very, very 9 Inch Nails Numan in sound. But it was quite dark and quite heavy, and her voice was incredible. She was really powerful singing live, and I was a bit taken back by that because, you know, you just think, is she going to be good, or is she going to be multi-vocal tracked with, you know, because Gary's done that a number of times with multiple tracks. Gary doesn't mime live. He has multiple additional vocal tracks on top of his vocals. It's just simply because a lot of his songs are quite melodic, and to get that feel, it happens. And a lot of his tracks on his albums are multiple layered, so he kind of need that. But she came on and she had none of that, and she was really cool. She come across quite shy still, but she's very young, and I think it's something that she, over the time, she will work on is her stage presence. It did sort of when she got a bit used to the crowd and being on stage, the nerves kind of dropped a bit, and she sort of like gained a bit of confidence. You could see her moving about a bit more and sort of like feeling the rhythm of the songs and getting into it. But she was really cool. I put some photos up of her performing live here at the stage, but I didn't do much filming. I just did one little clip of the show. I wanted to enjoy and take in the show rather than do loads of photographs and stuff like that. But yeah, she was absolutely really cool, and I absolutely loved it. And then came Gary. just a short clip there of the opening track of this Wreckage. His vocals were wobbly at that very moment, as you can hear, and a little bit out of sync and tune, but that's because I think he's been ill. He's had like this massive flu bug that's going around, probably a variant of COVID, but he's been ill prior to these gigs. So he was a bit wobbly, but then as the song progressed, his voice improved, and in the rest of the set, his voice was normal. It was really, really cool. And like I said, he performed the album in its entirety, including I Die, You Die and We Are Glass. And he also included B-Movie, which was like an unreleased demo that didn't make the cut, a B-side or single. So we got an unreleased track performed by Gary, which was really cool, and it was a good track. And Gary was in good humour. You could see he was actually enjoying the show, and it was really cool. I had a bit of a one-to-one with Steve Harris. I've known Steve. I've met Steve a couple of times, and he was taking the piss out of me because I was down the crowd and he was staring at me for ages, and he was going like this on my, because of my beard and stuff. And I was just thinking, cheers, mate. Yeah, so that was cool, though. Just sort of like Steve. He must have recognised me, because I met Steve at the Alarm gathering. He played a show with the Alarm, just one show, at one of their gathering, the anniversary. And he's a friend of Steve Smiley, who's a friend of mine. And because they both performed in another band called Archive. So I've met Steve, and he's a really nice guy. So I think he might have sort of recognised me from them. But he sort of like did that, and that was really, really cool. And the set was really powerful and strong. Some of the songs were cool. The real highlights for me in the show, song-wise, from Gary, was "Sleep by Windows," which was stunning. Really cool track. And I really liked Air Crash Bureau. That was really, really cool. The first part of the set, although he played the songs in its entirety, I think they were sort of a bit jumbled up, and which is fine. But it was a bit weaker at the beginning of the set. Some of the songs, came across a bit okay. But then, as the song progressed, they got stronger and stronger to the build-up at the end, where he ended the set with I Die, You Die and We Are Glass, which was really cool. The encore, he did an hour and 50... He came on stage at 9. Raven did 40 minutes. He did 8 o'clock to 8:40. Gary came on at 9 and was off by 10:20. So he did an hour and 20 minutes. And then came on and did like a 20-minute sort of encore. So he did about an hour and 45 minutes in the end, which is pretty good and pretty average for Gary. The encores were doing even some early Tubeway Army things like That's Too Bad and things like that. I got down to the front, as you can see by the photos I'm putting up. But I only stayed there for the main set because I had to get back. My last train back was at 10:42. So I thought I'm going to have to leave the venue about 20 past, because it's about a 10 to 15 minute walk down to the station from the venue. So I made my way to the back. It was rammed. It was absolutely rammed packed. That place is sold out 100%. So I had to try and wiggle my way, fight my way through the crowd. It took me a good 5 minutes to get out because I couldn't get through the crowd. When I got out, I thought I better go loo. So I went to the toilet, and I bumped into a couple of friends of mine, and I ended up chatting with them. I'm going to miss my train. I'm going to miss this train. I know I am. But then I eventually got out I could still hear him on the stage, so I missed about the last song or two of the encore. I heard the rest and was in there for like That's Too Bad and things like that. But when I got outside, I thought I better check, and my train was cancelled. I thought, fucking hell, I could have just stayed in there and watched that encore. But I thought, no, I'll come out. Anyway, so I had to get a taxi home, which was a bit gutting. But there again, the weather was pretty shit. And I thought, you know what? Although it cost me over 30 quid in taxi. But I thought, you know what? It's Leeds all the way home. I've not got to flap around Wake and Wake station, try and find other trains, and then probably get a taxi part of the way. At least I've got a taxi all the way, so I've got an okay deal with it. So it was really cool. But the concert overall was fantastic. It was really, really cool. It was great seeing Gary on good form, and I can't wait to see him again. I'm going to see him again in July next year. He's playing here. He's playing 15 minutes from my house at the Peace Hall in Halifax. I don't live in Halifax. I live just on the outside of Halifax in a small little town. But Halifax is my closest sort of like big town. So I'm going to go to that. I've already bought my ticket for that. So that's going to be fantastic because I can stay to the end of that because I don't have to try and get home because I can easily get home from there in 10 minutes. But yeah, and I think that's going to be like a normal Numan set. It's not going to be like this specialist sort of album set. But it was really cool to hear Telekon again, and a lot of the songs he kept to their original form, like Air Crash Bureau sounded like it did, and so did Telekon, so did Please Push No More and This Wreckage. They all sounded, some of the others had a bit of a beefing up, but they were really cool and I liked it. I look at the merchandise when I was there. Of course, Gary's his prices just reflect like everyone else's. It's not cheap anymore. I mean, t-shirts were £35. Raven's t-shirt was £30, and I was going to pick one up on the way out. But because I struggled for 5-6 minutes to get through the crowd, I thought, I'm not going to get that now. I was going to get a Raven t-shirt, but I didn't. And I thought, I bet I'll need a taxi. And I did. So I'm kind of glad I didn't buy that t-shirt. But I did buy some merchandise. I bought a hoodie. I bought it because I need a new hoodie anyway, because I'm getting a bit low on them. And so I bought the new hoodie, which is really, really nice. It sort of replicates the replica look, if you can see. I will put some pictures up of it as well so you can see it better, but it's really nice. It's got 45 years. It says Telekon 1980 to 2025, and that is embroidered, as you can see. Really nice. Nice quality. On the back it's got Gary Numan, Telekon 45th anniversary UK and Ireland tour 2025, with a map of the UK with a list of all the cities that and towns that he's played on the tour. So I managed to pick that up, and that wasn't cheap. But at the end of the day, the t-shirts were 35, so I thought for an extra £20, I've got a winter hoodie. And because it's winter time now, I wouldn't really wear the t-shirt too much. But I did buy a poster, and cool, Gary signed it. So that's really, really cool. Get this poster out, and I like it because it's a bit old school in its sort of style. It's got like an old picture of Gary from the Tubeway, from the Telekon tour, and there it's got a list of the dates, and again it's got the logo, 45 years there, and there's Gary Numan's signature there, so because Gary signed it, and it says at the top, "This is not love. This is not even worth the point of view," which is a lyric from This Wreckage. So yeah, so I'll try and come back so you can see the poster in its entirety. I will probably frame this one simply because it is signed. If it wouldn't have been signed, then I would have just probably plonked it up on the wall with a bit of blue tack. But this needs me to go down to my local home base, or B&M, I think we've got near to us, where we do picture frames. If not, I'll have to go into Halifax and pick one up. I'll take it with me just so I can get the right size frame, and I'll stick it up on the wall. So that's a little task for me to do. So I picked up that poster. So that was really, really cool. So that was the merchandise that I bought. He had a wide range of merchandise there, some strange quirky bits. He had a car, air freshener thing with a picture of him saying "here in my car," which is pretty cool. And he had some more quirky bits, and he was selling some vinyls there. They were selling vinyls of Berserker, vinyl of the new that 1000 it's called. I've got here. It was selling vinyls of this, and also he was selling this one here. And the ones that he had, they had about 10 of these there signed by Gary, but they were charging £50 for that. I mean, this is only £30 new, and I thought an extra £20 just for Gary's signature on it. I thought, no, I don't want to be. But I don't want it twice. Yeah, I could have bought it again and probably sold this one on, but I thought no, I won't do that because it could be a little bit of a waste of money. Not a waste of money, but a waste of my money because I've already got the item. And that was it. So I managed to get home. I got a taxi out there, got out of the venue about 10:30, I think it was, and I was home by 11:15, guys. So it was really cool. Got in, a cup of tea, bit of toast, you know, and no, I didn't have tea. I had a Pepsi. Yeah, so a Pepsi Max and a bit of toast and whatever, and that was all. So there you go. It's a little review of my Gary Numan show in Leeds here, which was last night, which is November the 14th at Leeds O2 Academy. Cheers, guys.